Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, proudly supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. It is the end of the year, Kevin. It is nearly Christmas, and the club have this evening give us the greatest Christmas present of all. It isn't a bobble hat that fits my head. It's something better.
It certainly is, isn't it? It certainly is.
You're going to tell us what it is? People might not know.
I'll whisper it quietly. It's Jack Welsby renewing until at least 2027 with the Saints. A great bit of news broken this evening, this fine Wednesday evening. And I think it's just given a boost to everyone surrounding the club, whether they are involved directly or a supporter, a fan, a follower from afar. Definitely boosted us just before Christmas.
I think one thing this shows, Kevin, is don't listen to the clickbait websites that use the words are poised to, are set to, are linked with. Just let things play out. Don't believe the names pulled out of the hat. Don't believe people when they think we're skint. Because Mike Rush, Eamon McManus, the rest of the Saints board are and continue to do us proud by basically that is the if you could do one thing at this moment in time, it would be extending Jack Welsby's contract.
Yeah.
And that's what we've gone and done. The only thing I'm surprised at is that some of the more serious websites haven't now posted a story linking Jack with playing the centre this year.
It wouldn't surprise me. Jack Welsby to make shock decision on position for next year. Yeah, he'll still be at fullback. But you're right. Listen, the club is in good hands, and the club is run very, very well. I know at times people would change the squad if they could, but it's not fancy rugby league. You can't just throw contracts away. You can't just throw players asunder. You've got to kind of see out contracts unless people want to go, in which case they go with your blessing as long as you can get a replacement. But this is great news. It's one of those that isn't necessarily out of the blue but that's because of all the speculation that's been going on. If somebody said halfway through this year, if he hadn't signed a deal that he was going to Australia, I also probably wouldn't have been surprised. But the length of this deal just shows that we mean business, doesn't it?
It does make you laugh, though, how the stories ramped up a little over the last week or so, obviously, but the stories appeared in the Aussie press, linking him with St. George, and then within 48 hours, he's re-signing for Saints. It's almost like somebody's just decided to, wind the Aussies up. Just because if it had just come out, without any speculation about an NRL move that he'd signed a new deal with Saints, you don't generate the publicity as much. Whereas the fact, or the Aussies might not take an interest, the fact that we've allowed, or the stories appeared in the Aussie press first via their rumour mill, that he's linked with St. George, and then 48 hours later it's, not really. Funny how things work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is funny how things work. There might be something in that, but it's, you know what? If his name's going to have been spoken about, I mean, even before he scores his try in the World Club Challenge win, he's going to have been spoken about because as a young lad, I think people still forget he's only 22. He's got his career ahead of him, and the Aussies will be looking at what they can do with a player of his ability, because in some ways he's still raw. He's still learning. He's not the finished article. And I think that's something that we can kind of look past sometimes. I know I was probably guilty of it last year when Catalan away, the first game that we played at Catalan away, and I was critical of some of the Hollywood balls. Listen, he's trying to win a game there. And he's doing it how he thinks is best, just off the cuff, put it into your winger's hands and your winger goes in. more of them probably stuck than didn't. It was just the wrong time. And Aussies with the NRL teams over there will see him as someone that they'll probably like to get their hands on in future. And there's a good chance that he goes even at the end of this contract over there if he fancies it. But listen, I'm just made up. I'm made up with this. I just think it's a real statement of intent. It's good that we can keep hold of our players like this. It's good that we retain them, and that the video that was done was absolutely superb. I think it properly just got what this club's about to the players as well as the fans.
Yeah, I think I said I put a tweet out earlier in the week, but no doubt Jack will have discussions with his agents, with NRL clubs. He'll also have discussions with Saints too. That's life, and he'll come to a decision, and that's what he's done. And when he's weighed everything up, you got that little tingle when you watch that video when he spoke about legends who've been tempted elsewhere but have stayed loyal to the club. Your Kieran Cunninghams, your Paul Wellens, your James Robies. Potentially Jack Welsby's the next one. Listen, if he gets to 26, 27 and decides to chance his arm at the NRL, then we'll have had pretty much the best years of his career anyway.
Yeah,
and if he wants, and he would go with people's blessing for a couple of years before coming back. But equally, there's a good chance that he gets to 26, 27. You don't know what your life circumstances are at that point in time, where you are in position with your family, with your form. You've got to remain in top form for have these moves even to be a consideration. But there's more to life than Bondi Beach.
Yeah, I think it makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, you've got to go over there to test yourself." People who say that are people who haven't moved like 20 miles, more than 20 miles from where they're born. They've not furthered the career by, say, moving to London or moving abroad or anything like that.
Have you moved to Widnes and that was life-changing?
Yeah.
You have to get a mask.
Less said about that. I think I'm getting... No, I was going to make a joke then. I'm not going to do that.
Don't. You live
not going to do that joke.
Lynch tomorrow.
You'll get people who are critical of him staying in this competition, but they're doing it off the back of seeing Jack Welsby, a rugby player, not Jack Welsby, a person, not what's going on in his life, not what he wants to do, not what he feels is best for him at the moment, not what just is right for him. Moving away might not be right. I think actually in the like talk he did with James Graham, he was on about how he likes holidaying in the Lake District. He doesn't like really going abroad. Well, traveling so you're a day's flight away doesn't sound like the type of thing that a lad like Jack Welsby wants to do at this point. Might change his mind 12 months down the line, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it might be. But that's up to him, and that's what happens.
Yeah, he's a big Latics fan, isn't he? So he might want to stay at home, watch Wigan drawing 0-0 against Lincoln on his Saturdays off, rather than going and watching the Wollongong Wanderers.
Well, exactly.
This is how we're keeping him staying. Kev, 1 second. Make sure I keep power. Be disastrous. Be disastrous if we cut out halfway through. Top class cutting journalism here. Yeah, it's just great news that he's committed his future to the club. But equally, despite what he's won and how good he is, we think he's the best player in the league. Obviously, he can get better. There's still lots of improvements in his game.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think you saw little bits of that last season where he became a little bit more studious in defence. So there was a couple of times where he'd let the ball go out and kind of wanted it to go dead so Saints would get the ball back. And towards the end, the latter half of the season, he was just taking charge of that situation back in the defence that they could see out a goal line drop out and the set that came off the back of that. I think little things like that, little bits of his game will will grow and will grow with us. I think he's obviously naturally talented because he can play a number of different positions. And I think he's kind of coming through in the Saints team and playing in those different positions. So playing winger, playing centre. He knows where they need to be in the defensive line. He knows where they should be if he's broken through and going forward. All looks like a great future. That graphic's up there. What does the future hold? Future potentially could well be captaincy of Saints, couldn't it? It could well be.
Kevin, that is a great segue to my next question.
Okay, go on.
You're liking that word, segue. That's word of the day.
Yeah.
The obvious choice we haven't announced the captain for next year yet. The obvious choice would be Johnny Lomax as the most senior player in the squad. And you could probably make the greatest argument for Johnny to be the captain because, you know what, for the recognition for the years of service he's given the club, it should be his time.
Yeah.
But if Johnny's coming towards the end of his career, he's got a year, 2 years left, maybe. If you've got Jack Welsby for the next 4 years, he's captain Great Britain in the Test series.
England.
That's how much we care. Do you give him the captaincy because you can allow him to do it long term, or is that what the future holds? You go Johnny Lomax, and when Johnny Lomax retires, Jack Welsby's the heir apparent, and that's what keeps him at the club even past 2027. Does it matter? Probably not.
It don't. No, to me, and I'm sure we'll chat about this when whoever it will be named captain. To me, I'd pick Johnny. I think because he's been vice captain this year, I don't think there's too much of a decision there. You could probably argue that you've got other players as well you could put in as captain when Johnny goes.
So vice captain?
Yeah, possibly. Well, this is what I'm going to get on to here. So you've got the likes of Morgan Knowles as well from the forwards who you'd probably look at. But when you start thinking of captaincy, Paul Wellens has spoken a lot about this, how we've lost James Roby, how we've lost Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook, how we've lost Will Hopoate, all leaders in their own right. And this is what Jack Welsby will be now. He'll be part of that leadership group. So your people like Tommy Makinson, Mark Percival, Connie, Johnny Lomax, Alex Walmsley, Morgan Knowles, Kurt Sirenen, people like that will be part of a leadership group. Doesn't necessarily matter as such, I don't think, whoever has got we don't wear armbands in rugby league, but got the captain's armband. I think just him still as a young 22-year-old, but having played as many games as he has for the club, I think just him being part of that leadership group is vital for us. Yeah,
obviously Mike Critchley has done a really good interview with Paul Wellens in the St. Helens Star, which you can read on the website. We have retweeted a link to it and we'll put it out again. But he was talking about year on year, how Jack continues to improve, and that his influence on the team becomes even more important next year because obviously, as we've been talking about, that change in dynamic with your James Robies and your Louis leaving, and I was ready to take on more leadership and be part of that leadership group.
Yeah, and that's what needs to happen. So you are looking at like your Matty Lees and people like that to step up and go from being the young kid to the more experienced. It's what needs to happen. It's just natural that you have that kind of evolution of it. As unfortunately players get older and retire, or players even move on, just go back to like the likes of Theo Farger. I imagine Theo was one of the leadership group because he was playing in such a key position. France is captain, so you don't not use that, but he moves on because his contract comes to an end and he moves on to Huddersfield as he did at the time. It's what happens. So having people like Jack Welsby around and that continuity as well, that keeping players at the club, it just fosters that good kind of that ongoing like feeling of this is a almost like a community, a family, as is in the video. It's a family that they're part of, and even though people leave, they're still part of that family. But others come through and start kind of looking after the day-to-day running of it.
And you know what? For me, that's why I'm not gonna, or we shouldn't ever worry too much. We've got Jack tied down till 2027 now. If the time comes where he does go to pastures new, or whether he stays for the rest of his career, the club is that ingrained in the town.
Yeah.
And the way we are with our youth systems, we've got players who will always come through. We've already got there's talk of the next generation. We've spoke about them. A couple of them are going to be in the squad this year. There's people on the horizon. The club will always carry on. I know, and like we've obviously lost the biggest legend of the club, James Roby, to retirement this year, but the club moves on.
Yeah, exactly. There's players from our first games that are obviously no longer part of the club. There'll be players after this squad have gone who'll be the custodians of them jerseys that will still be watching, and there won't be any one of the 32 that we've mentioned. 32 that we've named, I think, in the squad. There'll be none of them left in the squad in however many years gone by, and we'll still be watching them. So, yeah, listen, it's just what happens at a club, isn't it? It's what happens.
Eamon obviously deserves massive credit. Got interviewed as well. A generational talent. It's hard to comprehend what he has already achieved at 22. And committing long term is a massive boost to us now and going forward. It is a massive boost to the game. You wonder how much Jack has took into consideration his good looks as well, and obviously with the tackle height dropping below the armpit after next season, there's less chance of his face getting damaged than it will do in the NRL either.
Possibly. Bit of self-preservation. Why not?
Yeah. Maybe his missus has had a word.
Yeah. You stay over here for a bit, son. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I've seen some of those players' noses.
It's as Amos says there. It's a massive boost to us. I think it's a massive boost to the league as well, keeping the best players, and also as we've mentioned, people saying that the best should go and test themselves in the NRL. I think that's a double.
That's no benefit to me or you, is it? Or the fans who are paying in the town who are paying for the season tickets. The only people who benefit from that are the people who've got a dodgy stick and want to watch every NRL game. I've got no interest. Do we care if our players? Do we care if our players go to the NRL to test themselves so they can make the England team better for 2 games a year against international opposition who don't really care? I don't. I'm sorry. I'm very, very much club-centric. I want the best players in a St. Helens jersey for as long as possible. I don't care about the NRL.
We might as well move on because that's pretty much what I was going to say. It genuinely is, though. I want to keep all the best players in our league. I want our league to grow. I want it. And I don't necessarily... I am more of an expansionist than I'm not. I want our league to grow. I want the teams who are the strongest to be in the top division. I want attendances to be great. I want TV audiences to be great. I want marketing and money coming into the game to be miles better than it is. Do you do that
through having the best players in your comp?
Do you do that if all the best players leave? No. Do I want to pay for a season ticket with no offence to lads who are coming through who aren't the best? I want to see local lads in there, good local lads, mixed with some older heads and some imports, and get good imports, which, to be fair, I think we have. I think we've got good imports there. I want to see all them combine and be the best possible team that Saints can put out. I don't want to be watching your 3rd, 4th, 5th choice fullback be your number 1. I want the best player possible to play for Saints. Again, I don't care about the NRL when it comes to Saints. I would rather us keep all of our players at St Helens. To be fair as well, I'd rather Wigan kept all the players, Leeds kept all the players, and the league actually grew.
Yes. And do you know what? As much as we joke about the truth of the fact that basically all Wigan's good players always disappear off to Australia because they don't want to stay in Wigan, it would be good if Wigan could learn how to keep a player.
Yeah. I've nowhere to go with that.
Yeah, right. Some positives, Kevin. Let's get on to the positives, because Jack Welsby is not enough. The media coverage, you touched on it earlier. The video that accompanied the announcement of Jack staying at the club till 2027. Josh Howard, who you'd always see wandering around the field pre and post match with his video camera. He's responsible for most of these videos that get put together. That montage with Jack over the top was brilliant. Top tier stuff from Josh. And the man deserves all the credit. And equally, Tom Maguire, our media man, getting us the coverage that Jack re-signing deserves. You can see there, Jack Welsby, prime time, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports News on a Wednesday evening. You can't get better coverage than that. And then obviously an exclusive with Nigel Whisker in the Daily Mirror, which is obviously online tonight, in print tomorrow. It's getting us in the right places.
Yeah, and again, I will go back to
rather than the man in the little pig telling us what's going to happen.
He'll come after you. He'll come after you. Again, I will go back to this is good for the game. This isn't just good for us as a club. This is good for the game. This is what the game needs. The game needs eyes on it. This is a good way, excuse me, when we are in the off-season, there's not much going on to get eyes on it. And for people to think, who is it? Like the people who don't watch rugby league see, who is this fella? Right, well, you know what? I'm going to have a little look, see what it's all about. They might like it, they might not, but it's getting eyes on the game. It's getting names. We've had this discussion when we've been to away games. Who are the... If you went into a house in Wolverhampton or Norwich or wherever and asked who are the household names in rugby league, people would still say Marston or Fire. They would. We need household names. And I'm not having it because you'll get... I've said this, I'm sure I've said this on social media, and I've had fans of different clubs naming players who play for the clubs, their own clubs. No. There's a household name in the rugby league world, but I'm talking about out there in Britain, in South Wales. Who are they going to say? They're still going to say Jonathan Davis. Might one or two of them know Nathan Grace.
Listen, the biggest stars, I would argue that there's no current player in the league who is a household name around the country outside of the sport.
No, I'd say the same. People might give their own name in, but I don't think so.
The biggest people in the sport at the moment are Rob Burrow, unfortunately, due to his illness and then the charity work that's come off the back of that, and Kevin Sinfield for obviously his charity work as well. If somebody said to somebody around the country at the moment, what's Kevin Sinfield most famous for? They'd actually go charity work before rugby league player. Yeah,
and that's it.
And it's really sad it's taken such difficult circumstances for such massive names in the sport, which they both were, to become household names.
Yeah, such successful players at our detriment in them grand finals. But it's heart-wrenchingly sad that's
what we've got to change, isn't it? The narrative, and this is the sort of thing that we need as the beginning of that.
Exactly, to get the likes of Jack Welsby, to get the likes of Harry Smith, to get people like that into people's living rooms, and people know exactly who they are.
If they carry on like this, good old Tom and Josh will be getting their own Funko Pops, Kevin.
Yeah, let's not get back into the merchandise chat.
Oh,
but that was some
well,
good
no.
stuff.
Do you know what? Do you know what? We will, because they did get a bobble hat in. They did get hoodies in. They've put offers on this evening that if you spend over £27 before tomorrow evening, which is basically a shirt, you can get a free gift alongside it, and there's a number of things you can get. I think it's
calendar,
like a scarf or a hat.
Yeah.
So
yes.
do you know what? They've actually linked in a contract signing with an offer when people are going to be visiting the website. Excellent. That's the sort of thing that we want to see. Yeah. They've got a Jack Welsby 2027 jersey ready to go in a competition. Excellent stuff. It's just everybody working in tandem and the left hand knowing what the right hand doing. So, yeah, praise where praise is due.
Yes. And those two on your screen, Tom and Josh, praise for them as well, because, as you say, Josh, I don't want to start giving him ideas. Josh, you've got to stay at St. Helens forever. Don't start looking elsewhere, mate. But the stuff that he puts out for Saints is second to none. Yeah,
not better.
Yeah, correct. If he wanted to work for in time a Formula One racing outfit, I'd have no doubts that he'd be able to fit into something like that.
Again, why do you want to go around the world with beautiful women and fast cars when you could have sunny St. Helens?
Why go to Monaco when you could go to Castleford? Yeah.
So if you go in the shop tomorrow, do ask them for the Josh and Tom Funkos at the desk. They'll tell you when they're going to be in stock. If you go to the bargain bin, you'll probably find me and Kev.
Yeah, correct. Looks like you're just about to belt out a song there.
How good would they be if you could get them made?
They would be class, really.
Yeah, really good. Right, that is us done and dusted, Kevin.
Excellent.
If we don't see anybody beforehand, I think the only thing to say is a very Merry Christmas to you and your families. Thank you for watching Redvee this year. We will get bigger and better. We've been lazy the last couple of weeks. Some of us have had university assignments due in. I'm like the eternal student. But yeah. Ed was down writing assignments that I didn't really want to be writing. But
we'll get back at it, won't we? New year, and we'll blitz some. We'll get some content.
If we could get things for the wall saying "New Year, new us."
I'm just going to stick with this.
Not live, laugh, love.
No, and this really dirty Saints flag that I managed to find. This little tiny Saints flag that I found. Idea. It's at my mum's. Anyway.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And once again, a very, very saintly Christmas to you and yours. Catch you soon.